Hey everybody, Roland Smith here with Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance. If you followed NBA last year, I made a few videos of some issues I had with froze traps, 5 to be exact, due to the -5 degree weather and freezing rain. And this year I want to try to avoid those issues. And no, I've not got any great ideas or any secret tricks, but I've got an experiment. Now, I use wax paper in my trap bed as a pan cover, table salt. I've used calcium chloride, wax sieve dirt, even mound my trap bed to help water runoff. And I still had, like I said, 5 issues with 5 traps. So, as I came off the trap line last year, I began to think about my pool sand that I had removed from the filter, and it was laying out in the elements, out in the freezing rain, out in the temperature, snow covered. So I went out there and stuck my hand in that sand, and it was so soft and so pliable. Now, it could be the chlorine or the algicide that filtered through the sand from my pool, but we're going to find out. This has been treated. This is old sand that had been laying out that I had removed from the filter. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this with water about halfway of this sand. Okay? This sand is fresh. Hasn't been treated. It's straight out of the bag. We're going to fill this halfway up with water. This is non-treated. We're going to fill it over top of the sand with water. We're going to put it all in the freezer, and we're going to see what it does. Now, like I said, this is just an experiment. I've not got no big bright ideas, no magic wand. I'm not doing anything to it. I'm just putting water directly over top of this. See the water? Put it in the freezer. Make a place for it and put it in the freezer. How's that sound? Put that in the freezer. Set it up right. Make a mess. My wife had to skin me. Now this is the treated. I'm not putting any salt. Oh, good and saturated. There we go. It's good and saturated, as you can see. Put it in the freezer. This is not treated. We're just going to go halfway to this, or just wet it. We don't necessarily have to go half. It don't have to be floating, and it's wet. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the time on these. Almost noon, quarter to noon. Mark the time on this. Leave them in the freezer and see what happens. It every bit may be froze. It may not be froze. It may be due to the fact that the water just ran through the sand because it was mound up, piled up. I just dumped it out of the filter, got it out of the filter and left it on the ground. Then again, it could be some kind of chemical in the sand, or it could be just so porous that it just didn't take effect. But we have got some froze sand or wet sand in the freezer. We're going to find out what it does, so stay with me. So it's been almost 5 hours. This thing is well below, man. I mean, it's not even registering. It's probably well below 0. That's the untreated. And you're talking probably I think it's about 4 pounds to set off a trap. This is the treated. It's pliable. And you've got to consider it being mounded up, letting the water sieve through it. And the water was standing in these bags. That's the treated, which you can't use anyway. You can't use treated. That was just to see if the treated was going to make a difference as far as the chlorine or the algicide. You can't use that anyway but that was just a look at that. Pliable. Yeah, pliable. So we now know that sand is by far the best option. I think it would be better. You could probably use some wax with your sand. That would make it even better. But as far as mounding up your traps, would keep the water out of your area. But you can see it's been there 5 hours. Below 0. And keep in mind the water was standing in the bag. It wasn't like it was being sieved or rolled away from the trap. So, but that experiment was for the sole purpose of me to know what is what when it comes to using. There's some clumps there that I'm telling you, it's every bit just. Look at that. 5 hours in the freezer in standing water. So there's a few places right here that it's froze, but it's still, you still break it. See, look, still break it. And you're talking probably 3 to 4 pound pressure on the pan itself, with a greater bite force than what that sand is going to be froze in comparison. But this treated, you can't use it anyway. I mean, it works just as good as the regular sand. It really had no effect as far as the chlorine and algicide. But you can't use it due to the fact it's got chlorine in it. The smell, I'm OCD when it comes to smell. But this is what we were looking at. And you see that chunk right there? Still breaking apart. Still breaking apart. So, this is the option for the 2018 trap season. Mound up some sand. Get everything situated. Get this mess up before I get in trouble. But that's the route we're going to take right there. That's the route. That is the route. I'm going to use the pool sand. I believe it's just porous. Using sand is a good idea. You don't want to pack it or attempt to pack it. But I believe I've solved my problem as far as what to put over my traps. Around the jaws. Sieve you some dirt around the circumference of your trap bed with sand. Add a little calcium chloride to it. Seat your trap good. Put your trap pan cover, whether it be a coffee filter or wax paper. Then maybe layer you some sand back around the jaws and then finish it out. The jaws is what froze to the ground. You see what I'm saying? The rain, the freezing rain, the temperatures. I believe sand to be the best option for me in the hills of Kentucky trapping. But I thank you for watching. We'll put it to the test. Trap season's right around the corner, and be getting traps ready here in the next month. Going over them, maybe adding some swivels, doing a few odds and ends, modifications. Stay with me, follow along with me. I'm sure it's going to get exciting. It always has been for me. But this is Roland Smith, Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance, and as we always say, go farther, stay longer. Catch you out in the field.